so I'm leading off for him. His daughter was sick and he had to stay home and take care of his daughter. This is the outcome of the meetings that we had before, where everybody gave their input on what they wanted to see done and what their eyes and ears were for doing down here. And we had Malone McBroom, the engineer that was hired for us, run all the different scenarios, see what was feasible, and there's so many different ways to look at this, and he'll be much better at explaining it than I will. He's got a lot of models to show us on what the outcome was on it. The whole goal of this is to find something that's fundable, so that we can go to different partners, the DEP or the federal government, and find funding to do this. And some things can be funded, and some things cannot be funded. They have to meet cost-benefit analysis to be funded. They have to, meet certain criteria, and they also have to be able to be permitted through the DEC. And the DEC is pretty strict on what they'll permit anymore. So, probably the best thing to do is let Mark start and go through his presentation, and then we'll go through a question and answer session for a while, because I'm sure you'll have lots of questions. So, Mark's turn.
Okay, thank you, Eric, and thanks everyone for coming out. I see some familiar faces from when we met here back in October, I guess it was, back when we were kicking this off. Let me introduce a few colleagues. Jean Gowan, who's here with me tonight, and who was here in the fall, and also Ellen Hart, who joined our firm recently and is here to observe. And I know in the room there are a few members of the Safari group, and if you don't know what Safari is, I'll explain that as we go along. So with that said, I'll get started here. So I'm going to go back over just a little bit what's involved in an LFA, or a local flood analysis. What's that all about? We kind of explained it in detail in the fall, but I'll do a recap of that. And then I'll explain some of the flood mitigation alternatives that we proposed and vetted and modeled here in Mount Tremper to look at different flood reduction scenarios. I'll show you some of our modeling results and talk about the benefit cost analysis. And the benefit cost analysis, as Eric said, is really to find out, we can recommend lots of things that may not be cost effective. They may cost more to implement than they would save in flood reduction. So that's the purpose of the benefit cost analysis, and I'll go through some of the results. It's really to find out what's feasible. And then we can have questions and answers and discussion, and talk about what the next steps are. So just to go back over the meetings, we started off, it was actually September, a year ago. We met with the town board, we made a presentation, and talked about sort of an introduction to this process. And then we met in the two communities where these studies are taking place at this time, local flood analysis in Phoenicia, which we presented last Monday, and then we met here. And we went away, we did our analysis, we met at least half a dozen times with the Safari group, which I'll talk about in a bit. And now here we are now. We met last Monday night in Phoenicia and presented our results there. Had a lot of good discussion, and now here we are tonight. And our next step will be to present the final project results to the town board. So what is a local flood analysis? It's an engineering analysis. It's scientifically based. We use state-of-the-art hydraulic modeling that was developed by the Army Corps of Engineers to look at different flood mitigation scenarios to find out whether they work or not. Do they reduce the amount of flooding, and by how much? We evaluate the effectiveness of the different scenarios. We develop cost estimates for those scenarios that seem to have some merit. As I explained, we do a benefit cost analysis to really learn which of those alternatives would be able to stand up to a cost evaluation that are going to be cost effective. Once we have some viable alternatives, we look at potential funding sources, and we consider this plan to be not just an immediate plan to be implemented, but also something that could be used in the long term. Some things that we may recommend can't be implemented right away, but further down the road, a bridge needs to be replaced, It can be upsized, perhaps, and those things might happen over time. So not everything will happen right away. And ultimately, what we want to leave you with is a report and a presentation that gives everyone a better understanding of what's feasible in terms of flood mitigation, what's cost effective, and what's desired by the people who live here, including the affected landowners who past floods. So myself and my colleagues at Malone and McBroom, and there were probably a dozen of us who worked on this project, worked closely with the Safari Group. And Safari is the Shandaken Area Flood Assessment and Remediation Initiative. They worked on other projects prior to the LFA, and we worked closely with them on the LFA. And it consists of the town, several Shandaken residents and business owners, and I know some of them were at the meeting last week, and I see some faces here from Safari tonight. The Ashokan Watershed Stream Management Program, which consists of Ulster County, Soil and Water, the DEP, and Cornell, and then Ulster County Department of Environment and our firm as well. So the project area in Mount Tremper. It's project area number 2 here because, as I said, we're also doing a similar effort in Phoenicia. And really it extends along this reach of Esopus Creek, and we're sitting right over here, and also a reach of the Beaver Kill from where that line is downstream. And this is the project boundary as it was drawn at the beginning of the project. Now, just to set a little context here, here's the area where we are now. I want to show you some overlays that are just preliminary flood insurance rate maps that are now in front of the town from FEMA. This light green area is the special flood hazard area, which is the area, it's often called the 100-year floodplain. It's the area that's inundated by the 100-year flood. If you have a mortgage and you live within this area, you're required to buy flood insurance. If you're developing a home in this area, you're required to be 2 feet above the base flood elevation. There are regulatory layers that are put together by FEMA. A subset of that is the floodway. And this is an area identified that represents the area closest to the channel, where the area deepest and swiftest flooding occurs. It's a dangerous place to be. And we have development in the floodway in Mount Tremper. And there's some challenges in trying to reduce the flooding in a place like this that's in the floodway. As I said, these are the preliminary FEMA maps, and I know I was just speaking with Aaron a minute ago about, Aaron was very closely involved in this process, and I know there were some, compared to the previous FEMA mapping, there's been some changes around the edges of the 100-year floodplain, and I don't know if you want to say a word or two about that, Aaron.
Yeah, just quick, I'll say that the current effective maps for the special flood hazard area extend, pretty much just after Mount Pleasant Road there, and come across 28. It's easy by this point, maybe. So it actually shrunk the special flood hazard area based on the new mapping. So the current special flood hazard area comes over here like this, and goes actually over Plank Road here, right up to here. Yeah. So the better science has informed that smaller area, still a large area.
And in some areas, you'll have a floodway that's rather narrow compared to the size of the special flood hazard area. In this case, our floodway is very wide. In part because of the way the channel bends here, and you have high velocities coming across here. Now, I wanted to give a little demonstration here. I didn't talk about this hydraulic modeling, but unless you're someone who uses it, it's a little bit hard to visualize. So I just want to run a little movie in Phoenicia that sort of takes you through the storm. And this is Irene. We ran the Irene hydrograph. We use all this similar type of information here in Mount Tremper, but what I have here is a little video of the Phoenicia Main Street area where Stony Cove comes in. And if you just give me a minute, I will run that little video, just so you can see how this hydraulic modeling works. Now, on this map, this is Stony Clove Creek coming down, and this is a Silkus Creek, and this is Phoenicia and Main Street. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. And the depth, the colors, the blue colors, represent the depth of the water during the flood. And this is prior to Irene. The water's in the channel. And up here, this space bar is going to go across as the movie plays. And this is the time of day. It's August 27th at 11 p.m.
Oh.
And I'll just run that across. And this is our existing conditions. So you'll see this run. It takes a little while to get started. You can see the depth come up, you see it flood down Main Street, and then it subsides. And we use some photos taken from helicopters to calibrate our model.
Yeah.
It covers the 27th just for about an hour or two, and then the full day on the 28th, and it runs, I think, to late afternoon or evening on the 29th. But the real peak there is mostly just on the 28th. And then there's just one more I want to show you. This is really just to show you what I mean when I talk about this hydraulic model. This one is a similar model, but it deals with velocity. So the speed at which the water is flowing. And in this case, the red is quickly flowing water, and the blue color is the water is moving more slowly. And this is a similar time frame. It's the same time frame. But what you see here, if you watch, for example, Main Street, you'll see some of the velocities, like the yellows, that start to go down Main Street. And, you know, we talked to a few folks and children this, and we get the sense that it's pretty accurate, very accurate. And it's kind of state-of-the-art modeling. And now, once we understand the existing conditions, and this was the Irene flow, but we could also look at the 10-year flood or the 100-year flood. And when we try out different flood mitigation scenarios, we can plug them into our model and compare it to the existing conditions. And then we can say, well, how much of a reduction in flooding resulted from what we did? So we can switch back to my presentation here. These are the alternatives that we evaluated for using the hydraulic modeling in this study area. We had 10 different things that we evaluated, alternatives that we evaluated on the Silkus Creek, and a couple on the Beaver Kill where it comes in. And I'm going to go through all these one at a time, some of them fairly quickly because we pretty quickly learned they weren't going to work. Others had some merit, and we examined them further. And others we advanced all the way to the point where we did a cost effectiveness through the benefit cost analysis. So I'm going to move through these. I mean, I don't want to go into a huge amount of detail on ones that aren't going to have merit because I think your eyes would all gloss over. But one thing we tried was trying to take out accumulated sediment bars. And my colleague Vern and Bevan and I canoed from up at the Woodland Valley Bridge down to well downstream of 28. We noted where, also through aerial photographs, we noted where a lot of these big cobble bars are. So in the modeling, we're able to remove those cobble bars and see what sort of benefit it had.
What did you call them again?
Cobble bars, like you see here, just bars in the river areas where cobble has accumulated, sediment has accumulated. But in this creek, it's called. So we found that by removing those cobble bars, it resulted in only a very moderate reduction in water surface elevations at a few locations in the channel. The overall flood reduction benefit was negligible, especially during larger floods. And there's a significant cost to accessing the channel and removing that material. So we didn't evaluate it further, but we did evaluate a scenario with much more significant sediment removal. We're actually dredging down and taking out much more material. And that's the next step here. So this is our dredge scenario. So we modeled, this is where we are right now, and this is going down around the bend here. under that Mount Pleasant Bridge, through the Route 28 bridge, and here's where the beaver kill comes in. Now that is the area where we dredge down, the area represented by that red arrow. In the model, we dredge the channel down 3 feet. What it looks like is something like this. This is looking at the channel in cross-section. And where we go in is change the shape of the channel in the model. So we're basically removing all this material. You see the pink line is the existing channel, and the black line is sort of a proposed channel in the model. And we can run that and see what sort of benefit that has on flooding. So we dredge down Silver's Creek by a depth of 3 feet from adjacent to Emerson, downstream approximately 1 mile to below the Route 28 bridge. Our estimate of the amount of volume of sediment taken out to enact that scenario is 90,000 cubic yards. And that's, it's hard to, I mean, you can imagine 1 cubic yard maybe, but it's hard to imagine 90,000. So we used a range of 15 to 20 cubic yards that fit in a truck, a big triaxle dump truck. And that's the range we see the number of truckloads, 4,500 to 6,000. So it's a lot of material to run this dredge scenario that would have to be carted out of the river. In order for it to be effective, it has to be not just taken out of the active channel, but it has to be taken out of the floodplain and taken away somewhere else. Where
Do you make money on that?
Sorry?
Selling the bank on that?
Yep. Yep. If you were to dredge that material
Might
out.
be upset for the court of dredging it out and selling it.
Yep. Yep. And
Moved by railroad.
that's factored in when I get to the benefit cost.
Okay, sorry.
So I have to explain what these lines mean, but this is the profile of the channel. This is the bed of the channel coming down over the length that I described that was being dredged. This is the bed of the channel. This is the Route 28 bridge, and this is the Mount Pleasant Bridge. And these water surface elevations, the blue represents existing conditions for the bankful event, and the 10-year flood, and the 100-year flood. And the red represents proposed conditions. So you can see on the proposed conditions that the dredging, the water surface has been reduced. So this is bankful, and you see some reductions there, ranging from a foot to 2.5 feet. When we get to the bigger flood, a 10-year flood, you see the reductions a 1.5 feet, 1.1 feet. We get up to a big flood, 100-year, we see less than a foot of reduction. So what we see here is, under that dredge scenario, flooding is reduced at specific cross-sections under moderate, bankful to 10-year flood scenarios. So you see a reduction in flooding, a small flood reduction during the larger floods, the Irene magnitude or the 100-year flood event. There is some reduction, but it's small. We also know, because of the way rivers behave, that it requires repeat dredging. Doing that once isn't going to work. We estimate that over a 50-year period, you would have to do it 5 times. And it would lead to unstable channel conditions. We're going to advance this dredge scenario to the benefit cost analysis, and I'll show you the flood reduction benefit versus the cost of implementing them, and I'll come back to that. I'm going to go through several more alternatives, and then we'll go through all the benefit cost analysis.
What kind of unstable conditions?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Okay.
And Mark, also did you identify bankful?
Yeah, okay, a bankful, that's a good point. A bankful, I mentioned that lowest pair of lines is a bankful event. And a bankful event means the channel is just, the flow is right where it connects to its floodplain. It typically happens every 1.5, 2, maybe 2.5 years, somewhere in that range of frequency. So it's something that happens quite frequently. It probably does not result in any houses getting flooded. It's sort of an annual flood, or slightly less frequently than an annual flood. And we use it as part of our analysis. We consider a whole range of flood events. when you deepen the channel, and getting back to the stability thing, when you dig down the channel without enhancing the floodplain, you just deepen the channel, it causes instability in the channel for several reasons. You're steepening the banks, you're making steep banks. You're steepening the transition from the area that wasn't dredged to the area that was dredged, which could, if the water pours into that area, it could create head cuts that then travel upstream and cause the bed to come unraveled as you move upstream. It also, because you're increasing the depth of the flooding without increasing the width at all, you're causing shear stress, which causes the channel to get deeper on its own. In some cases, in other cases, you're creating sort of a bathtub effect by digging it out, which will then refill with sediment. So there's a number of reasons, and we know this from experience and having seen it in other places where dredging can lead to those sort of unstable channel conditions. Now we looked at several levee-related alternatives. And this was one. There's an existing levee out there now. It's not high enough to contain a big flood. During Irene, it overtopped over here, and water also came in this way. And you can see in the model here, it's not, parts of it are high enough, but other parts of it aren't. It's not effective in completely stopping flooding in this area. So one thing that we modeled was elevating the height of the levee, and actually putting in a higher levee this whole distance. But what that does, by trapping this water and forcing it all in the channel here, it does increase velocities. It also increases flooding on this side by forcing water surface elevations up. And that is why typically you're not allowed to place fill in the floodway, because when you do that, you flood someone else downstream. If we cut this area off, we're increasing flooding on this side along here.
It might be helpful to give an indication of how much higher the
Right.
levee is.
Yeah, the levee. So in some locations, the levee's pretty close to the level of the 100-year flood. In order to contain the flood, as you move further downstream, the levee sort of tapers off and isn't as high. When we modeled it, in order to get a foot above the 100-year flood elevation, in some places, that levee was being increased by 9 feet in height. And even with that scenario, it would still, unless this downstream end of the levee is tied in somewhere, flooding still gets in some of the locations along the channel down here.
How much of a destruction is the old bridge when it talk about the flow of the river and the flood?
Yeah.
Does
We
that
evaluated-
slow it up and
Yeah.
back it up? And,
This bridge, the old bridge, not very much.
but the new bridge and the lower bridge?
Yeah, the Route 28 bridge,
Yeah.
I'll get to that. We did a whole evaluation of that bridge.
But I was talking about the old one,
Yeah.
to take that out.
Yeah. And we evaluated the removal of 3 different bridges, and I'll get to them. But I'll just hit on this bridge for now, the Mount Pleasant Bridge, the one that's closed. Because the water goes around it, and it does cause an increase, the structure itself does cause an increase in water elevations. And if you take the bridge out, it reduces it, but not a huge amount. And taking it out it caused some reduction in flooding, but not a huge amount of reduction in flooding. So we looked at another levee scenario where we basically got rid of this levee and we pulled the levee back. And now this creates more dry area. However, there's a lot of homes that would have to be relocated on this side. And even if we did that, we're still creating a levee in the floodway that's still going to increase water surface elevations out here and increase flooding on this side and increase velocities.
You know, excuse me. I remember when they was ready at when the baby fell at the authorities right there. And they
Right here.
And they right where the arrows are, they used to go down in there and clean that up. take the stuff out, sell whatever they did with it. And it was, I think, a management, stream management, one time. What changed that it's no longer?
The fly fishing probably changed a lot of that because contractors used to go in there and get rubble all the time. They used to get permits to go in and clean out the cobblestone bars.
You get the same amount of water, plus the amount of.
Yeah.
There was a change in the ruling of the DEP.
There's DEP, not the fly? Okay.
It wasn't a good idea.
DEC.
It didn't work.
I also the levy have been raised, I just made for before Irene, the last big flood, that levy had been raised about a foot. My house is
Before
right on
Irene?
it. Yep. So I'm just curious as to why they, just stopped maintaining it and why they let it just go.
I don't know the full story of the levee. I know it's not a FEMA certified levee, which would mean that it,
But it
it
is
actively stops the 100-year flood in the area.
It is a Army Corps of Engineers levy.
Yeah.
I have in Hartford.
Right, I've seen that, yeah.
That levy was put in because of the tunnel going underneath the aquifer, right?
I don't know the history of the levee.
The tunnel going over the portal. No.
That was an Army Corps project, it was separate.
That was separate, wasn't put in because of New York City putting more water down?
Action for the Army Corps. They did 2 projects along here. They did one at Mount Tremper, and they did one up at LFA. So a very small berm.
So, pull the levee all the way back out of the floodway, where if you put it out here, you're not causing the rise in elevation and flooding over on this side. However, now we've basically taken all of this. It would all have to be relocated, and we've only created a very small dry area on this side. So really, by the time we moved it out of the floodway, it really would not be cost effective. So we kind of looked at several levee scenarios, and then we looked at one other scenario, which is basically a flood chute that carries the water on this side of this neighborhood during a flood. And what we found in the modeling is it works quite well in a moderate flood, but in a big flood, it quickly gets overwhelmed, and this whole area floods. And then what we're left with is a situation where, really, if you end up trapped out here, you end up on an island. And we couldn't recommend this sort of design in good consciousness, and we've seen it. Me and I were just talking about another project that we saw in another place where it was actually a facility, like
An elderly
Thank you.
assisted living facility.
Yeah, assisted living.
They actually designed exactly this scenario, except that it was overwhelmed during, it wasn't Irene, it was actually the June 2013 flood, and left this whole fairly large development of elderly in need of assistance folks with on an island.
on an island. Yeah, and that's
So very dangerous. Well,
No.
not particularly, because they had no water, no food.
And it was an assisted living facility, so it was cut off. And,
No evacuation room at all.
so in terms of the levee and flood chute scenarios, and I've already summarized all this, I won't read it all to you, but we don't feel like there's an effective solution here using levees or a flood chute. Now, the next thing I'm going to describe is a floodplain enhancement scenario, and this could be a little challenging to explain. I tried it last week, and I decided to redo the slides a little just to sort of illustrate it. So, this is under normal flows, and we've got 3 houses here, and here's the channel. And then in our flood, the water comes up and floods all 3 of the houses. And then the water goes back down into the channel. So by floodplain enhancement, what I mean is something like this. Here's the old grade, the old existing elevation. We actually excavate down and create a bigger floodplain. We do it on this side, or it could be on one side, it could be on both sides. You notice that this house is gone. We had to relocate that landowner. And over here is a bikeway and a trail. It's a recreational use. So this is just a sort of an artist's rendition of one idea. But now, that's our same flood. So we relocated this home. We have two homes that are no longer getting flooded because